Imagine a world where titans walk the earth, a world where scientific marvels and monstrous forces clash. Our story begins on the mist-shrouded shores of Skull Island, a place untouched by time where the colossal ape King Kong reigns as king. For years he was a myth, a legend whispered among sailors. But the world learned of his existence, and with that knowledge came fear, and with fear came the military. Monarch, the clandestine organization dedicated to studying these massive unidentified terrestrial organisms, or MUTOs, had established a perimeter around the island. But containment was proving impossible. Kong, sensing the growing intrusion, was becoming more aggressive, a silent guardian ready to defend his home. The situation escalated when a military operation, codenamed Project Strongarm, was greenlit. Their objective: neutralize the Titan threat, starting with Kong. Advanced battleships, state-of-the-art fighter jets, and battalions of heavily armed soldiers converged on Skull Island. They believed their technology, their numbers, their strategy would be enough to subdue the beast. They were wrong. As the first wave of attack helicopters breached the island's airspace, Kong emerged from the jungle canopy, letting out a roar that shook the very mountains. He wasn't just an animal. He was a warrior, intelligent and fierce. He swatted choppers from the sky like flies, his immense strength and surprising agility making a mockery of the military's advanced weaponry. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, another force of nature was about to be unleashed. Dr. Bruce Banner, working with Monarch to understand the Titans, was on a research vessel near the containment zone. The military, in their desperation, deployed an experimental sonic weapon, hoping to disorient Kong. The weapon backfired catastrophically. The immense sonic frequencies didn't just ripple through the island. They traveled through the ocean, disrupting a deep-sea research lab where Banner was analyzing geological data. The stress, the chaos, the deafening sound, it was too much. The other guy came out to play. The Incredible Hulk erupted from the research vessel, a green Goliath of pure rage, and plunged into the ocean, swimming with impossible speed toward the source of the disturbance, Skull Island. The military was now facing a nightmare scenario. Their battle with Kong was already a losing one. The ground troops were scattered, their vehicles crushed. Kong stood tall amidst the wreckage, a defiant king. Then, from the shoreline, a green behemoth emerged from the waves, roaring a challenge that rivaled Kong's own. The Hulk had arrived. The soldiers, caught between two titans, were in a state of shock. Who do you even shoot at? It didn't matter. The Hulk, seeing the military as the immediate aggressors, immediately began dismantling their forces. He tossed tanks like toys, ripped apart artillery, and shrugged off missile strikes as if they were mosquito bites. For a moment, it seemed like the two titans might turn on each other. They locked eyes across the battlefield, a primal sizing up of power. Kong, the ancient king, and Hulk, the modern monster. But something shifted. They saw a common enemy. The relentless barrage from the military jets and offshore destroyers united them. An unspoken, primal alliance was formed. Kong, with his strategic mind and knowledge of the terrain, took to the high ground. He used the island's geography to his advantage, creating avalanches and using massive boulders as projectiles against the naval fleet. The Hulk, on the other hand, was the ground force. A one-man wrecking crew, he systematically tore through every piece of military hardware he could find, his rage fueling his strength, making him more powerful with every hit he took. The battle was a symphony of destruction. Imagine the scene. Kong, perched on a cliff, ripping a pteranodon-like creature from the sky and hurling it into a fighter jet. Below, the Hulk catches a tank shell mid-air, crushes it in his fist, and leaps 1,000 feet to bring his fists down on the deck of a destroyer, splitting it in two. The military commanders watched in horror from their command center. Their strategies, their technology, their entire understanding of warfare was rendered obsolete. They weren't fighting a monster. They were fighting forces of nature. They had poked the bear, and then they kicked a hornet's nest the size of a mountain. The alliance was terrifyingly effective. Kong's strategic defense of the island combined with the Hulk's unstoppable offensive power was too much for any conventional army to handle. Kong would draw their fire, using his agility to evade attacks, leading them into traps within the island's treacherous jungles. Then, the Hulk would emerge from the shadows, an ambush of pure gamma-power fury, obliterating the trapped units. They fought back to back, a king and a monster, covering each other's weaknesses. When just swooped in low to strafe the Hulk, Kong would be there to snatch them from the sky. When heavy ground artillery tried to pin down Kong, the Hulk would create a seismic slam, shattering their positions. Finally, the military had no choice but to sound a full retreat. What was left of their forces fled from Skull Island, battered, broken, and utterly defeated. The cost of their arrogance was immeasurable. As the last of the jets disappeared over the horizon, silence fell over the island, broken only by the crackling of fires. Kong and the Hulk stood amidst the wreckage, two victorious titans. There was no handshake, no verbal agreement. There was only a moment of mutual respect. Hulk, his rage subsiding, looked at the giant ape. Kong, the guardian of his home, looked back at the green powerhouse who had unknowingly become his ally. With the threat gone, the Hulk's purpose on the island was complete. He gave one last guttural grunt towards Kong, a sign of acknowledgement, perhaps before turning and leaping back into the vast ocean, disappearing beneath the waves to begin his long journey back to wherever the currents would take him. Kong watched him go, then let out a final triumphant roar that echoed across his kingdom. He was still king. He had defended his home, and in the process, the world had learned a valuable lesson. There are forces in this world that cannot be controlled, that cannot be conquered. They had tried to cage a god and contain a monster, and in doing so, had unleashed a force greater than they could have ever imagined. The great clash on Skull Island was over, but the age of monsters had truly begun. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more epic what-if scenarios.